Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, the federal government rules out any likelihood of hike in petroleum prices, insists on current template of 145 naira per litre. Defense Minister pours glowing tribute on the slain Nigerian army officer, describes him as a brave soldier. Valedictory session holds for Edo State Governor in Benin City. Governor Shomole commended for uncommon developments in the state. It's still a tight race to the White House between the front runners as the world awaits the American decision on Tuesday. We begin tonight with the Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Ibe Kachukwu, saying the federal government will work towards maintaining the new petroleum products pricing template, which pegs the price of petrol between 135 and 145 naira per litre. The minister says the federal government cannot at this time consider fixing a new price for petrol without considering some of the market variables that gave rise to the current petroleum pricing template. Mr. Kachukwu made the remarks on the sidelines of an event organized by the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria in Abuja.
Trade unionists in the petroleum sector and officials of the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency, as well as the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, are in this hall to celebrate those they consider to have made positive impact in the oil sector. In her opening remarks, the Acting Executive Secretary of the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency explains how the new petroleum products pricing template has stabilized products distribution.
The appropriate pricing framework policy put in place by the Honorable Minister of Petroleum Resources on May 11, 2016 has gone a long way in achieving preconditions such as full cost recovery, free entry and free exit of players, global competitive products, pricing through the import-export parity policy, limited government intervention and control on supply and distribution, creation of enabling environment to attract private sector capital.
The federal government announced a new petroleum products pricing template in May this year that pegs the price of petrol between 135 and 145 naira per litre. A week ago, however, the NNPC fuel stations that have sold petrol for 141 naira per litre since the template was announced in May started selling at 145 naira per litre. This change led to panic buying of the product as most consumers are unsure of what will happen next. On the sideline of this event in Abuja, the Minister of State for Petroleum assures that government will work to maintain the new price template.
What we ought to be doing is actually watching the prices, making sure that they're not taking advantage of the common man, making sure that the template is respected. We need to, as late as a few days ago, we were working on the possibility of being able to shift that out so that you still can modulate the prices within where it is right now.
Petroleum union leaders also agree with the new pricing template. They, however, appeal to the legislators to quickly pass the petroleum industry bill into law to address other issues in this sector.
We also want to commend and also advise and say that the National Assembly should also see how we can also pass this bill, because it's very, very incremental that we have that bill, because it's a legal framework. And when you also have the bill passed into law, definitely the issue of pipeline vandalism, there's so many issues embedded in the industry will also be taken care of. So we can also know that, yes, the industry is moving forward.
As it stands, Nigerians can only wait to see how long the current pricing template for petrol will last.
To security now, latest reports from the Nigerian army says troops have rescued 85 women and children in a fresh raid on Boko Haram hideouts in Chukungudu. The soldiers, led by General Officer commanding 7th Division of the Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Victor Ezugu, attacked the southern fringes of Lake Chad region at the weekend and successfully cleared Giram Mulankasa and Chukundugu, believed to be Boko Haram strongholds. And this attack comes after an ambush by Boko Haram terrorists that led to the killing of some soldiers and the commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Abu Ali. A statement by Army spokesperson Colonel Kuhashika Usman says the gallant officers also neutralized 5 Boko Haram terrorist fighters in a fierce encounter that drove several of the terrorists into the Lake Chad waters. During the clearance operations, 4 rounds of rocket-propelled grenades and lots of ammunition were recovered from the fleeing terrorists. A gun factory was also discovered during the raid. Still on the slain army commander, the Defense Minister Mansour Mohammed Dan Ali today paid tribute to the officer, calling his death tragic and unfortunate. The Defense Minister describes Lieutenant Colonel Abu Ali as a major pillar in the war against terrorism and insurgency in the northeast. He expressed his condolences to the father of the deceased, Esu of Bassa Nge Kingdom in Kogi State, Brigadier General Abu Ali, his young family, and the Nigerian Army. This just coming in, the president has said the sacrifices of fallen soldiers and officers and men in the war against terror in Nigeria will never be in vain. Reacting to the death of Colonel Abu Ali, whom he described as one of the country's finest and bravest soldiers in recent history, President Muhammadu Buhari said in a condolence statement that he was really shocked by the news of the officer's death, along with other Ghanaian soldiers during an encounter with the Boko Haram insurgents in Borno State. According to the president, a courageous commander does not only give orders, but also joins his men to fight the battle, no matter the risks or the obvious danger. End of quote. He said that the memories of the fallen heroes would be eternally etched in the hearts and minds of fellow citizens for whose sake they laid down their lives. The fresh attacks by the insurgents is coming just as the military maintains that what is left of Boko Haram in the northeast is mere smokescreen. But it does appear that the group is indeed attempting to fight back. Joining me now on the news at 10 to look into the new development is an anti-terrorism expert, Group Captain Felix Iheanacho. Thank you for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you very much, Amarachi.
Group Captain, it's a pleasure having you here. Were you surprised with this attack, first of all, and then the loss of our own gallant soldiers in the fight against insurgency, coming months after we had said we had technically won the war against Boko Haram?
Well, I'm not surprised. The reason is that the capacity to wage war has been largely degraded. But it is important to know that the Boko Haram has not been completely asphyxiated. So if the public really thinks that they have been completely asphyxiated, then to such thinking public, it will come as a surprise. But for we in the security sector, we do understand it's a continuous thing and the momentum has to be kept. If you recall recently, some of our international partners were encouraging Nigeria to keep up the momentum because we do know that their capacity to wage war has not been completely degraded or neutralized. To that extent, I am not surprised.
As we can, as we figured out in the reports, this was an ambush on the soldiers. So of course, it was unexpected. But does it mean that we should reconsider our strategy?
Oh, well, yes and no, in the sense that we do have to strategize and re-strategize as we continue to do a post-mortem on any situation that we have come in contact with. And don't forget, the enemy does not go to sleep. The enemy is also strategizing and re-strategizing. Just like we keep degrading their capacity to make war, they are also looking for ways and means to ramp up their ability to do the same. So we need to be a step ahead, and if we have to be ahead of them, then we need to keep re-strategizing. So, but there is one thing that we need to take note of. You could see that this is a group that can conduct raids and ambush, which are some very important military tactics. So that means they are exposed to some high-level training. They can exploit the element of surprise. They can change tactics within a short period of time. When we go with this idea that they have been completely neutralized, then they spring surprises.
Well,
so for us not to be able to, for us not to be taken by surprise, we need to consider them to be there all the time, and therefore we must keep the momentum. We must keep suppressing and degrading their capacity to make war.
This has always been Boko Haram's tactics. I mean, guerrilla warfare, bringing that surprise on, the military and Nigerian troops. It's been their strategy right from day one. And, this has been a challenge, for the Nigerian army. This is why there is no battle line drawn, there's no place where the battle is being fought. But is this enough to, what has happened? Do you think it's enough to dampen the morale of the soldiers? And how can we boost that?
Oh, no, certainly not. This cannot dampen the morale of the soldiers. Rather, it will make them resolve to do a lot more. Because, you see, this is an asymmetric war. And like you clearly said, there's no clear edge of battle area. There's no clearly defined boundaries of war. And the enemy is quite among us. And quite a lot of time, well, you can imagine our soldiers are known, they're identifiable. The enemy we are fighting are not identifiable, they are not known, but we know them by name, Boko Haram. We can only say it's Boko Haram when they have actually carried out an act. And so, surprise is a key element of warfare. And we must understand, no matter how well prepared, anywhere in the world, any armed forces, when taken by surprise, you find that you practically be reduced to, if you like, use the word impotency, if you like. But surprise, we must, there is no way of having a radar to see what Boko Haram is going to do the next minute. But again, that is where intelligence comes in. And so I feel, and I say, we mustn't go to sleep. The enemy we are dealing with is thinking, just like we are thinking. Therefore, we must try to think what the enemy is likely to think, and so stay ahead of the game.
And keep our spirits up, because we're still winning the war against terror.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Group Captain Felix Ihanacho, for being with us on the News at 10.
Thank you, Amarachi.
In the meantime, a new offshore patrol vessel acquired by the Nigerian Navy has arrived in the country. The latest addition, NNS Unity, will improve the command's stance against maritime insecurity. That's according to the Naval's Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ibas, who received the vessel in Lagos.
It's the Naval Dockyard in Lagos, witnessing a high-profile event as serving and retired officers, as well as other top government functionaries, gather to welcome the latest addition to the Nigerian Naval Fleet, NNS Unity. The NNS Unity is the second of such vessel acquired from China by the federal government to strengthen fleet renewal agenda and maritime security, and the Channel Consul General expresses deep appreciation for the military cooperation between both countries.
NNS Unity, together with the NNS Centenary, embodying the closer military cooperation between China and Nigeria. We can expect more fruit from our cooperation in near future.
The 95.5-meter long offshore vessel is fitted with fully automated state-of-the-art integrated navigation equipment, capacity to carry out minor oil spill cleaning, and firepower to withstand tough operational activities, and the Chief of Naval Staff appears delighted about this.
The introduction of the offshore patrol vessels into the Nigerian Navy fleet is not without a background. The vast resources and potentials in the Gulf of Guinea are being undermined by multifaceted domestic and cross-border threats and challenges, thereby resulting in constrained investment and economic prospects, growing crime and potentially adverse political consequences.
On its voyage to the country, which began in September, NNS Unity visited 5 Asian and Africa countries, including Malaysia and South Africa.
In part 2 after the break, the plight of commuters on a major road in Edo State and a federal highway in Imo State. Please join us again.